We're going to be in Hebrews chapter 7, verses 1 through 10. Remember, Hebrews 6:20 ends by highlighting that Jesus is a forerunner on the behalf of his people and is a high priest after the order of Melchizedek. You can read about Melchizedek. I encourage you to by spending time in Genesis 14 and reflecting once again on Psalm 110. So he begins here in verses 1 through 10 by highlighting the order of Melchizedek, and the author is making an argument. And this is how the argument goes. The priesthood of Melchizedek is superior to the Levitical priesthood. Melchizedek foreshadowed Jesus, and since Jesus is part of this order of Melchizedek, this priesthood of Melchizedek, Jesus is superior to the Levitical priests. So that's what we're going to be doing here. First, let's look at how the priesthood of Melchizedek is superior to the Levitical priest. We will see that in verse 4. He's talking about Melchizedek. See how great this man was, that's Melchizedek, to whom Abraham the patriarch gave a tenth of the spoils. Right? Abraham gave a tenth of the spoils to Melchizedek, showing the significance and importance of Melchizedek. 2, it could be said that Levi himself, which is the tribe of the Levites and the priests, paid tithes to Melchizedek, once again showing the significance of Melchizedek and superiority of Melchizedek over against the Levitical priesthood. We read about that in verses 5 and 6, and again in 9 and 10. And those who descended of Levi, who received the priestly office, have a commandment in the law to take tithes from the people, right? So the Israelites pay tithes to Levi, that is, from their brothers, though these are descended from Abraham. But this man, that's Melchizedek, who does not have his descent from them, received tithes from Abraham and blessed him who had the promises. Right? So Melchizedek is not from the line of Abraham, and yet he received tithes from Abraham, illustrating the greatness of who Melchizedek is. The author is saying, look how great Melchizedek is. And then again in verses 9 and 10, one might even say that Levi himself, who received tithes, paid tithes through Abraham, for he was still in the loins of his ancestor when Melchizedek met him. So since Levi was in the loins of Abraham, and since Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek, it could be said that Levi paid tithes to Melchizedek, showing that the priesthood of Melchizedek is superior to the Levitical priesthood. And third, we already saw it here a little bit, he blessed him who had the promises. So Melchizedek blessed Abraham. It is beyond dispute that the inferior is blessed by the superior. So the superior blesses the inferior, and Melchizedek blesses Abraham, showing once again the superiority of of Melchizedek over Abraham and the Levitical priesthood. So that's the first point that the author's arguing, is that the priesthood of Melchizedek is superior to the Levitical priesthood. But then second, Melchizedek foreshadows Jesus. And we see that in a few ways. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High, met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him. Right, we already saw this idea of blessing. And to Abraham apportioned the tenth of everything. Right, we saw how he talked about that here. What does Melchizedek mean? What's his name mean? First, by translation of his name, he is the king of righteousness. And he is also king of Salem. And that is king of peace. Right? He is, this Melchizedek, he is without father or mother or genealogy, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but resembling the Son of God, he continues a priest forever. So Genesis 14 says nothing about the parents or genealogy of Melchizedek, showing that Melchizedek's priesthood is not established on genealogy. This is contrasted with the Levitical priests, right? In order to be a priest, you had to be from Levi, from Aaron, to be a priest. But Melchizedek's priesthood it's not concerned with genealogy here, right? Melchizedek's priesthood is not established on genealogy. Likewise, Jesus' priesthood is not established on genealogy. Right? Jesus is from the tribe of Judah. And yet, Jesus is the great high priest. How can that be? Well, Jesus' priesthood is not established on genealogy, just like Melchizedek's wasn't established on genealogy. And we see that Melchizedek's priesthood resembles Jesus. Right? So that was the first one. It's not established on genealogy. And two, it has neither beginning of days nor end of life. And in that way, it resembles Jesus' priesthood, which continues forever. So nothing is said about Melchizedek's predecessor or successor. He's a continuous priesthood. He serves as a priest continually without interruption. He's carrying the idea of eternal priesthood. So in all of these ways, Melchizedek's priesthood is foreshadowing and anticipating Jesus' priesthood. Right? Melchizedek resembles Jesus. It doesn't say Melchizedek is Jesus. And we see a very similar idea of this idea of eternal priesthood in verse 8. In the one case, tithes are received by mortal men, right? They die, they have genealogy. But in the other case, that's Melchizedek, by the one to whom it is testified that he lives. Right? It doesn't speak of Melchizedek's death. Right? And Jesus is ultimately pointing forward to Jesus. Right? Jesus is the eternal priest. He's the one who rose from the dead and continues to be a priest forever. He is the true King of righteousness, the true King of peace. He is a priest he's the only priest, and he will continue as priest forever. He can, as we'll see later on in Hebrews 7, that he's able to bring his people all the way home because he always is able to make intercession for them. He's the perfect sacrifice. He perfectly represents his people. He's the perfect mediator between God and man. So I pray that you're encouraged by Jesus as the great high priest, as he is the one who lives forever, and that brings us great hope, because as he lives forever, everyone who trusts in him could live forever with him. Jesus is the perfect and great high priest. See you guys next time.